Hey everybody, back with another one. So apparently there was a full unalive an event happened with Venezuelan President Maduro. And apparently a Navy SEAL is caught along with three other US citizens. Now we know Venezuela is a communist country, so it's going to be interesting if China or Russia is going to intervene. We are so close to World War III. You have no idea what is really going on. Like, share, subscribe, because I want to play a couple of videos that I found real interesting that I didn't know that Maduro's wife's sons were apparently selling cocaine to DEA, which means the CIA is involved. The CIA has set into power Castro, Saddam Hussein, has set many people in power, and when they don't do the bidding, they are taken out. Now, after Chavez, who became an enemy, Maduro took over after Chavez was assassinated. This is so. If in the '80s, where Oliver North, the CIA, Iran Contra, with Ricky Freeway, Ricky Ross, who was buying all that cocaine, them kilos from the government to supply the Contras to overthrow Nicaragua. This ain't nothing new. So yeah, I believe it. I do believe it, but they got caught. So I'm gonna read some articles that I'm gonna play a video. I mean, I didn't know the history behind it, so it's basically the history of it. You guys probably won't stay anyway. I mean, don't read and don't know what's going on. I'm just saying. I mean, it's a lot that do. It's a lot that do. I'm not saying that, but for the vast majority, they don't care nothing about what's going on. Apparently, on August 18th, there was an attack on Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro. The CNN video gives an inside look in the detailed plan aimed to assassinate him. Come on, God, let this thing work. Who was responsible? A group that included Venezuelan army defectors. What was their goal? Kill President Maduro and end tyranny of his regime. Where did they get the drone from? A U.S. retailer. Hold on, let me do a video. I gotta upload these videos to Rumble. Follow me on Rumble, Gina19, please. Oh shoot, I hit a line. All right. So the for the assassination attempt against President Maduro by the CIA. And I'm going to read their they have done when they put Castro in power, Saddam Hussein, Gaddafi, when they put them all in power. Mm. Who was responsible? A group of defectors. What was their goal? Kill President Maduro and end the tyranny of his regime. Where did they get the drone from? A U.S. realtor, retailer. I'm sorry. CNN senior international correspondent Nick Walsh sat down with self-proclaimed organizer of this attack. The organizer explains the attack was carried out by a group of Venezuela army defectors and others. Now, this was August 18, not the one that just happened the other day. I'm going to get into both of those. He recounts how the group prepared for the attack and practiced drone flights in rural Colombia. Some world leaders, such as U.S. National Security Advisor John Bolton, has speculated Maduro staged the attack. However, the group is taking responsibility for the attack and told CNN on condition of anonymity, "We have tried every peaceful and democratic way to bring an end to that dresses itself as a democracy." U.S. officials now believe was a genuine attempt gone wrong. Months before Maduro was set to give his August address to the military, the group purchased drones online from a U.S. realtor. Retained the drones with explosives that detonate through a remote control app and practice using devices on a rural farm in Colombia. Let me straighten this out. I'm probably just gonna upload this video. I don't like how this is going in and out. Yep, that's what I'm gonna. Videos show the group practicing flying the drones high enough to avoid detection and then swooping down at a steep angle to strike their target. They practice in different scenarios amid green hills, over a swimming pool, launched out of car window under cover of night. One drone would be later blown up in a test. Cell signal blockers for the plan. Cell signal blockers used to protect against attacks were off but were suddenly switched on, causing devices to detonate prematurely and ultimately thwart the assassination attempt. The Venezuelan government's account of the attack, provided by the Interior Minister, confirms parts of their story, including the drone paths. After the attack, the group claimed they met with U.S. officials on 3 occasions. The organizers said they wanted to get information, and then we asked for things in return. They took notes on this, and we asked if they would be able to help. Then they simply left with their notes, and they never appeared again. Oh, they appeared again. Because now you got a Navy SEAL um, that's been detained, and 2 other American, 2 Spanish. I'm gonna get into that. I'm just going. This all stemmed from August 18th. Our policy is to support a peaceful transition in Venezuela. Oh, a U.S. State Department spokesman declined to comment on the alleged meetings, saying our policy is support a peaceful transition in Venezuela. That's a lie. That's a lie. The self-declared interim president of Venezuela, the opposition leader Juan Guaido, told CNN he disapproved of the attack and said such options are not good. The organizer admitted they were willing to risk the lives of innocent civilians in their attempt to end the tyranny of Maduro. That was the risk we had to take. We cared about that as the Venezuelan people are always the ones feeling the consequences. The attack and manipulation showed just how lethal drones can be in the wrong hands. The fact that anyone with little knowledge of explosives or access to YouTube and Google can turn a drone into a deadly weapon is frightening. No, it's not. Not at all. Without security measures such as drone detection, plans such as this could play out anywhere in the world. That's CNN.
New at 10, three American citizens are being detained in Venezuela, accused of trying to destabilize the country. The Venezuelan government says it also seized these guns. The State Department says at least one American military member being detained. It also says the American government supports a democratic solution to the political crisis in Venezuela.
Watch breaking news on YouTube. Subscribe to ABC7 Chicago Eyewitness News.
Now, this is the other side. This is the other day. The U.S. State Department rejected allegations of CIA involvement in an alleged assassination plot against Nicolas Maduro after Venezuelan officials announced the arrest of three Americans, two Spaniards, and a Czech on Saturday. The claims of a plot against Maduro, the Venezuelan president whose recent re-election is contested, were made on state television by Diosdado Cabello, the interior minister. Cabello said the foreign citizens, including a U.S. Navy SEAL member, were part of the CIA-led plot to overthrow the Venezuelan government and kill several members of its leadership. They've been doing it. This is nothing new. Y'all, Americans just don't know nothing. I don't even know what to say about us anymore. In a television program, Caballo showed images of the rifles that he said were confiscated from some of the alleged plots. The U.S. State Department late on Saturday confirmed the detention of a U.S. military member and said it was aware of unconfirmed reports of two additional U.S. citizens detained in Venezuela. Any claims of U.S. involvement in a plot to overthrow Maduro are category false. I do not believe that. The United States continues to support a democratic solution to the political crisis in Venezuela. The claims come 2 days after the U.S. Treasury imposed sanctions on 16 allies of Maduro, accused by the U.S. government of obstructing voting during the disputed 20, July 28th election and carrying out human rights abuses. During the past week, Spain's parliament recognized the opposition candidate Armando Gonzalez as the winner of the election, angry Maduro allies who called on Venezuela government to suspend commercial and diplomatic relations with Spain. But he also was given extradition to Spain. He ran to Spain because Maduro was going to take him out. Tensions between Venezuela government and the U.S. have increased as well following the election, whose results sparked protests within Venezuela in which hundreds of opposition activists were arrested. Venezuela Electoral Council, which is closely aligned with Maduro administration, said Maduro won the election with 52% of the vote, but did not provide a detailed breakdown of the results because he did not win. He did not. Who wants to live in tyranny? Nobody. Because most of the Venezuelans that came here legally would go home than to be here. And on top of it, surprised the government by collecting tally sheets from 80% of the voting machines. They were published online, indicate that Gonzalez won twice as many votes as Maduro, despite Supreme Court, which has long backed Maduro, confirmed his victory in August. Venezuela Attorney General then filed conspiracy charges against Gonzalez, who fled to Spain last week after it became clear he would be arrested. Maduro has dismissed requests for to provide tally sheets that prove he won. Maduro, who has been in the power since 2013, he came into power after Chavez was assassinated. Now, I like Chavez. I did like him. Has long claimed the U.S. is trying to overthrow him through sanctions and covert operations. The Maduro administration has previously. Wait a minute. Was there some gunshots on Trump? Okay, I got to check this out. The Maduro administration has previously used Americans in prison in Venezuela to gain concessions. In 2023, the Maduro released 10 Americans and a fugitive wanted by the U.S. government to secure a presidential pardon for Alex Saab. This is his wife's nephew who've been selling kilos. And this remind me of the 1980 U.S. Contra prior to the U.S. government. Listen, they've been buying them. Listen, you can't make this up. A close Maduro ally who was held in Florida on money laundering charges, according to U.S. Here we go. Oh shoot.
All right, guys, welcome to the channel. We got some breaking news this morning that's going to affect a lot of people. And more importantly, what we're not being told by the mainstream news. This is the one single clip that I can find regarding a United States Navy SEAL that has been arrested, captured, taken hostage, whatever you want to call this. Like whatever adjective makes you feel comfortable. This is one clip that I've found, okay? This came out a little past midnight, like 4 minutes past midnight this morning. Something's brewing. Something's brewing in Venezuela. Something's brewing with Nicolas Maduro. We tried to see plane, or we did seize his plane. Every action has an opposite and equal reaction. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, thumbs up button. Let's listen to this clown. But it says Venezuela says U.S. Navy SEAL among foreigners arrested over alleged CIA to, pew pew, Nicolas Maduro. Okay, listen to this clip. Listen to what he doesn't say. Make sure you hit the like, subscribe, share this button, follow me on Facebook, join the channel. Check out what this clown says.
Yeah, we are tracking closely the detention of a U.S. military member in Venezuela. We are closely monitoring the situation, seeking additional information. I don't have further comment at this time. As you know, oftentimes when it comes to individuals who are detained overseas due to privacy considerations, there's not much I can say from this podium, but it is a matter we are aware of and seeking more information about.
Boom. That's it. State Department. That's their only statement.
Okay, getting back to that, I just want to play that video. The Maduro administration has previously used Americans in prison. Okay, Alex Saab. Okay, we talked about that. According to U.S. prosecutors, Saab had also helped Maduro to avoid U.S. Treasury sanctions through a complex network of shell companies. So that's the United States side. Okay, now let me hit these videos.
Venezuelan authorities have arrested 6 foreigners, including a U.S. Navy SEAL, accusing them of being involved in a plot to destabilize the country and assassinate President Nicolas Maduro. The announcement comes amid heightened political tension and a continuing crisis stemming from disputed elections earlier this year. Interior Minister Diosdado Cabello alleged that the plot Navy SEAL as William Joseph Castaneda Gomez, who he claimed led the operation. Other detained Americans include David Estrella and Aaron Barrett Logan. Alongside them, 2 Spanish nationals, Jose Maria
Basoa Valdovinos and Andres Martinez Adasme, and one Czech citizen, Jan Rifles, allegedly connected to the purported plot. In a press conference, Cabello asserted that the CIA was behind the alleged operation, which he claimed also involved Spain's National Intelligence Center. The CIA is at the forefront of this operation, Cabello suggested. The plot was part of a broader scheme to undermine Venezuela's government.
A few days ago, we captured some people who, by chance, although we say by chance, it was actually due to intelligence work, were discussing plans to throw grenades and explosives at the Argentine embassy. In the Argentine embassy, there are some criminal terrorists of the opposition seeking refuge.
The U.S. State Department swiftly rejected these allegations as categorically false.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. Let me see. Get rid of this one. Okay. Now this is Indian news. I don't just
Six
watch.
foreign nationals have been detained in Venezuela on suspicion of plotting to destabilize the Maduro government. Now, 3 Americans, 2 Spaniards, and a Czech citizen are among those arrested. The Venezuela government has claimed that 400 rifles originating from US have been seized for terrorism in Venezuela.
Dos ciudadanos españoles. Estos ciudadanos tienen vínculos. Sabemos que van a decir que no, que es mentira. Tienen vínculos con el centro. Tienen vínculos con el Centro Nacional de Inteligencia de España.
The arrest comes amid soaring tensions between Venezuela and both the United States and Spain over Venezuela's presidential election. Venezuela's opposition has accused President Nicolas Maduro of poll rigging. The US and Spain have a U.S. State Department spokesperson has said that any claims of U.S. involvement in a plot to overthrow Maduro are categorically false. The Czech Republic...
Same thing issued by India.
Two Spaniards and a Czech citizen reportedly arrested in Venezuela, accused of plotting to assassinate President Nicolas Maduro. The arrests were announced on state TV by Venezuela's interior minister. The group is accused of being part of a CIA plot to overthrow the Venezuelan government and kill members of its leadership. Rifles and ammo allegedly confiscated during their announcement. The State Department has released a statement saying, quote, any claims of U.S. involvement in a plot to overthrow are categorically false. But they do acknowledge a member of the U.S. military and 2 other Americans have been detained.
Now this what I was surprised. It's a long video. Let me see. Oh no, I don't want that. It must be on my other.
Venezuelan First Lady, Cilia Flores' nephews were arrested by the US for trafficking cocaine. You would think that was the height of tensions between America and Venezuela. Far from it. An audio recording from Washington has been leaked, and it's shaking things up again. The audio contains a revelation that involves the US DEA, a Venezuelan businessman with deep ties to Maduro, and an international scandal.
Here we go. This is what it's really about.
Surprises, so hold tight and let's dig in. What really was in the audio? It was a typical day in Washington, D.C. when the bombshell revelation happened. This was a leak that was as explosive as it was dangerous. The first character in this saga is John Costanzo Jr., a seasoned agent of the U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration, DEA. Now, Costanzo wasn't just any agent. He was one of the insiders who had access to the deepest, most sensitive information that the US government kept tightly under wraps. His job, to protect the kind of intelligence that could make or break entire
This
operations.
video is from the club on
Costanzo found
YouTube.
himself at the center of an information leak scandal. The man at the heart of the storm was Alex Saab, a Venezuelan businessman whose name, like several others like him across the Americas and Africa, had become synonymous with corruption and political controversy. Saab was not your regular businessman. He was a key player in Nicolas Maduro's regime. This is a man accused of siphoning off $350 million from state contracts. His dealings were not just shady, they were super shady, a labyrinth of corruption, money laundering, and state-sponsored theft. His reputation brought him Washington's attention. For years, Saab had been the target of the US authorities, but he had managed to evade the long arm of American justice until now. The US government had been meticulously building a case against Saab. Every move had been very calculated, every piece of evidence carefully collected to ensure that when the hammer finally came down, it would be swift and undeniable. By their estimations, Saab was a wily man. Prosecutors had planned to bring charges against Saab that would expose the depth of his involvement in Venezuela's corruption-riddled state contracts and economics. The date of his reckoning was picked, the stage was set, and all that was left was to watch it unfold. But then, the unthinkable happened. John Costanzo Jr., in what anyone would admit is a logic-defying move, betrayed his agency and his country by allegedly leaking this crucial information.
DEA leaked the information. DEA.
was no longer a closely guarded secret. It was now out in the open. Slip would give Saab the advantage he needed to outmaneuver US authorities once again. Politically, it was the equivalent of an earthquake. For a while now, the US and Venezuela had been locked in a bitter standoff for years, with Washington consistently targeting President Maduro's inner circle. They've been constantly applying pressure in an attempt to destabilize his corrupt regime. The prosecution of Alex Saab would have been a critical part of this strategy, as the move was meant to strike at the heart of Maduro's financial operations. Now, with the leak, that plan was up in smoke. There were happy parties in this story, though, one of them being Maduro. For Nicolas Maduro, this was a great reprieve for an ally. And beyond that, it was a propaganda victory. The Venezuelan government could now argue that the US was so desperate to take down Maduro's network that its own law enforcement agents were compromising their integrity. The leak could be spun as evidence of the lengths to which Washington would go, including breaking its own rules, to undermine Venezuela's democracy.
They do it all the time.
Meanwhile, in the US, the fallout was immediate. There was severe outrage within the DEA and the broader intelligence community. How could a trusted agent betray the agency like this? What could have motivated Costanzo, a trusted agent, to leak such sensitive information? Was it greed, pressure, or something else entirely? Was he threatened? The questions were many. The answers, sadly, were few and hard to come by. One thing was clear, though, and that was that this one leak would compromise not just the prosecution of Alex Saab, but also the credibility and upper hand of US operations against Maduro's regime. With the prosecution's timeline exposed, Saab and his legal team could now strategize in ways they couldn't before. They could now preempt moves, challenge evidence, and exploit any weaknesses that the leak revealed. It was a lifeline that Saab desperately needed, and it could very well keep him out of US custody for the foreseeable future. The leak also had the potential to complicate future US legal and political efforts against Venezuela. Every step the US took would now be scrutinized even more intensely, with opponents ready to pounce on any perceived misconduct. But that did not stop the US one bit. More on that later. For now, we'll discuss Nicolas Maduro and his connection to the central man in this story. The connection between Nicolas Maduro and Alex Saab. Nicolas Maduro's presidency has been marked by controversies, from allegations of corruption to human rights violations. Just like Maduro, his inner circle has also come under the international microscope, especially Alex Saab. Saab is widely known as a Colombian businessman. His close association with Maduro has caused several corrupt practices of Venezuela's ruling regime. Saab's connection to Maduro is not just about politics, it's actually a more deeply financial one. Over the years, Saab has been the key instrument that has allegedly enabled the Maduro regime to siphon off billions of dollars from state coffers. They achieve this through several bogus and widely overpriced schemes and capital projects. The most notorious of these schemes is Venezuela's food subsidy program, CLAP. local committees for supply and production. CLAP was supposedly created to provide affordable food to Venezuela's poor. Instead, it became a means of massive embezzlement, with Saab at the helm of this operation.
That's
Using
a
a network of
shame.
shell companies and dubious contracts, Saab is accused of grossly inflating the prices of imported food items, allowing him and his associates to pocket the difference. Additionally, the food that did reach Venezuelan shores was often of substandard quality, purchased even cheaper than the market price of the original food, meaning more change in Saab's pocket. But Saab's role goes beyond just the mismanagement of Venezuela's food program, far beyond. He has also been implicated in a host of other activities, including money laundering and charges of sanctions evasion. His so-called business empire, which spans multiple countries, has been accused of funneling money out of Venezuela and into secret bank accounts, real estate, and other assets spread across the globe. These activities have enriched Saab and his cohorts, helping them keep the Maduro regime in power despite the rapidly rising international pressure. To Maduro, Saab's loyalty and financial acumen have made him an invaluable asset. As Venezuela's economy crumbled, Saab served as Maduro's financial architect, devising strategies to bypass the sanctions imposed by the US and other countries, like buying an aeroplane in secret or moving money through clandestine channels. Saab was, in essence, the linchpin in Maduro's financial efforts to maintain power. This close relationship between Maduro and Saab could not go unnoticed. Since his arrest in 2020, Saab has been fighting extradition to the US, with Venezuela's government pulling out all the stops to prevent his transfer. Maduro's administration was quick to publicly decry political persecution, accusing the US of using the judiciary as a weapon to undermine Venezuela's sovereignty. However, behind this public posturing is actually concern within the Maduro camp. Saab knows where the bodies are buried, figuratively speaking, of course. Just like Constanzo Jr. was to the plans to arrest Saab, Saab had been privy to the inner workings of Maduro's cabal. Therefore, his testimony could be damning. The fear within the camp would be rising. They would be thinking of Saab's potential cooperation with US prosecutors, perhaps for a plea deal. And this, they know, would certainly unravel the network of corruption, nepotism, and backdoor politicking that has kept Maduro in power. For Nicolas Maduro, his wife Celia Flores, and their chief ally, former President Chavez, the stakes are high, incredibly so. In the meantime, the legal battle over Saab's extradition continues to drag on. For the US, securing Saab's extradition and eventual conviction would be a major coup in its campaign against the Maduro regime. It would provide, finally, a breakthrough. Additionally, with Saab would come solid evidence against Nicolas Maduro. Now that you're all caught up, let's finally talk about the US government's response to Maduro's violations of their sanctions. The US sees it or a group. It was something far more symbolic and far more personal. The US has imposed sanctions and seized the aircraft that served as Venezuela's equivalent to Air Force One, the president's aeroplane. The plane was a Dassault Falcon 900EX, a luxury aircraft that had been Maduro's go-to for international travels and several other kinds of trips. There are speculations on whether or not Maduro has trafficked drugs using the presidential aeroplane. After all, his wife, Celia Flores' nephews of the Narco Sobrinos affair planned to use their presidential immunity to smuggle drugs into New York. Speaking of the Narco Sobrinos affair, it is another drama that probably influenced the decision to impound the aircraft. Campo Flores and Flores de Freitas, both nephews of Celia Flores, were arrested in November 2015 in Haiti. They were caught attempting to transport 800 kilograms of cocaine, which had a street value estimated at $20 million, hence the name Narco Sobrinos, which means cocaine nephews. The Narco Sobrinos shipment was destined for New York City. The arrest occurred after a months-long investigation by U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration (DEA) agents who had been tracking their activities. The investigation revealed that the nephews were using their family connections to shield their illegal activities. Their plan did not have a lot of complexity to it. They were going to use their proximity to those in Venezuela's highest political echelons, including their aunt, Celia Flores, the First Lady of Venezuela. If there is the possibility that a presidential plane can be used to traffic drugs, it's better, is it not, to keep the said plane out of commission. U.S. authorities also allege that the plane was acquired through fraudulent means. And by fraudulent means, I mean a complex scheme of shell companies and illegal.
That's half of the story. If you want to hear the other half, it's under the club. Nicolas Maduro's leaked audios changed everything. So it was the DEA who leaked the information on Maduro's wife's nephews about the cocaine operation. And that, listen, this was a CIA 4 plot against the against the unaliving of Maduro. I had no idea that all this was going on in Venezuela, but upon my research, so it's breaking news, breaking news. Like, share, subscribe, leave a comment.